Hey everyone, Justin here. Let's go over how to change your guitar strings. So things you'll need. You'll need obviously a guitar, a set of strings, and a string winder. In terms of the strings, it doesn't really matter specifically what kind of strings they are as long as they're acoustic. I prefer light gauge, but it's up to you. So most string winders, if not all, come with this little groove here. It's going to help you pull the pins out of the bridge when we're removing the strings, but more on that later. Let's get into it. First, lay your guitar flat on a soft surface, like a bed. You'll be moving the guitar around a lot, so this step is important. We're going to start from the left side of the headstock with strings E, A, and D respectively. Start with the top E string, rotating the tuning peg clockwise all the way until the string is no longer coiled around the peg and it's a straight shot when pulling it out. Next, use the winder to pull the pin out of the bridge. It helps to push the string a little bit into the guitar so that there's less resistance when pulling the pin. After removing the string, I like to wrap it around and coil it, just to keep everything nice and tidy. This is going to make throwing out all your old strings much easier. And yes, please throw out your old strings. Do not reuse them. It really isn't worth it. Repeat the last couple of steps for the next two strings, A and D. If a string pops out of a tuning peg by itself, that's okay. Just keep rotating the tuning peg until the hole lines up parallel to the neck to ensure that installing the replacement string is nice and easy. Now let's get into the right side of the headstock. The steps are basically the same as the first three strings, you just gotta make sure that your perspective is right when you're rotating the tuning pegs clockwise. So sometimes you may find that your string will catch itself on the end, not letting you pull out as easily. The best thing to do is try and cut that part that is catching off. It's like life. If something's holding you back, cut them off. Go ahead and pull the rest of the bridge pins and remove the remaining three strings. And don't forget to coil too. After all the strings are off, I like to wipe down my guitar with a microfiber cloth, since now we have access to some parts formerly covered by strings. Make sure to get all the nooks and crannies, because it's hard to clean or dust your guitar with the strings still on. If you got the time, I recommend treating your fretboard with lemon oil. This helps keep frets clean and protects the wood from Cheeto dust. You can pick it up at any music shop. Spray a couple inches away to hit 2 to 3 frets per spray. Don't be shy, put some more. After spraying, wipe with some force parallel to the frets going against the grain of the wood and giving it a nice clean conditioning. Take your time wiping down the headstock. Dust collects very easily around the tuning pegs. Let's take a look at the strings. Today we'll be using D'Addario's Phosphor Bronze light gauge strings. I typically like using Elixir brand extra lights, but due to the fact that all guitar shops are pretty much closed right now, I'm down to my spare D'Addario sets I have in my drawer until my online order comes in. Check your pack of strings for a key that lets you know which strings are which. Some strings come color coded at the bottom, and the box will let you know exactly which color is which string. Now it's time to finish unboxing the strings and separate the strings from one another. Note the colored beads in the end of each string. Go ahead and separate the strings. They sometimes come in pairs and unravel if taken apart, so feel free to keep pairs together if it helps you stay organized. Locate the low E string. In our pack, it's the brass beaded string. Let's get started. Feed just the tip of the string into the bridge. You want to have the bead kind of just rest inside of the bridge. Note the notch in the bridge pin. That's what's going to be holding the string in place when you put the pin in. Make sure you line up the notch with the string upon insertion. After the bridge pin is in, give the string a little tug until you can feel that it's snug and in place. Feed the tip of the string into the first tuning peg all the way through until the string is nice and taut. Once there's no more slack, align the string into the nut, and as you turn the peg counterclockwise, pull on the string towards the head to prevent it from reslacking. When you get to 180 degrees, be sure to raise the excess string above the taut string before turning the peg anymore. Start listening to the string as you tune it. You're going to want a guitar tuner or tuning app handy so that you tune up to as close to low E as possible. I like to overshoot a little bit and go a little sharp, as fresh strings tend to go flat rather quickly. We'll retune the whole guitar after all the strings are on. After you're all tuned up, give the string a little trim. Leave about an inch or two. We'll get a neater cut at the end. Repeat these steps for the next two strings, A and D. Next, locate the G string. Insert it into the bridge and add the bridge pin, the same way you did with the first three strings. When facing the right side of the headstock, be sure you're facing the pegs when you turn them counterclockwise. After you get to the last string, you can start tuning the rest of the strings back. Once you're tuned up, go ahead and clean up the rest of the strings, leaving about 1 centimeter of extra string left. You'll need the extra bit when the guitar falls out of tune again. Also, careful not to accidentally cut the taut string. You kind of need that to play. I like to put the old strings into the packaging when I throw it out. It helps keep your garbage can tidy and prevents the strings from poking holes into a garbage bag. And that's all there is to it. Your new strings will struggle to stay perfectly in tune for the first few times you play with them, but after a few retunes, good quality strings shouldn't have a problem staying in tune. If you have any questions or comments, please leave one down below. I'd love to hear some feedback about any of my videos. If you're one of my students, hit me up in Discord or shoot me a text. Now, if you're interested in learning guitar or music theory one-on-one with me online, shoot me a DM. I do weekly lessons via Zoom, and the first 2 lessons are free. Peace!